We're back. My God, we're back. We're here.
We
Another
are.
erotic episode of A Crep from the 80s. Folks, we are back, me and Bobby Heckman,
Mm.
to talk about more films that we love from 1984 and 1989.
This is volume 2. And
Yes.
we're doubling up here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we have to do this going forward because there's just too many awesome films from both years.
Yeah, it's too much greatness.
Obviously, there'll be like you know one-offs here and there that are special films that we really want to like focus on
Mm-hmm.
um, and do a whole episode on. I mean, listen, 1984, 40 years. Not 1989, 35 years. there's there's a lot of incredible content.
It's bizarre because we're not even 40 years old. So how did we see these movies when they came out?
No,
Like
we're youngins. We're like 19.
we are like 19. So our parents raised us right. They showed us all these movies just a few years ago.
Yeah. You know what though? My body may be 47, but my heart and my mind are
Uh,
still.
I believe you said in a recent episode that your body is 87. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
So yeah. So again, folks, please remember that these are movies that we like.
I
Okay?
think they understand. No?
No,
Do you
because
get attacked online?
we
Like, what's
still
going
get
on?
I still get
Why don't you review the Care Bears movie? It's from '84. Yeah.
yeah,
No.
things like that. I still get it like, well, I don't see this on your list. I'm like, ah, like that is something you like out
Yeah.
there, folks. These are things that we like.
And maybe you'll like them too.
Yeah,
And you'll relate to our excitement over these particular movies or the other ones from the last episode.
that's right. So, um,
What are you can do? Hmm? Wait, what's going on here? Okay.
I like movies too.
You like Cat's Eye? Well, that's not till 1985. Get out of here.
All right, so we've picked two films each from each year. Like I said, all these films are celebrating anniversaries, and yeah. Again, don't even you might say in the comments, how come you're not talking about something as important as Karate Kid or
Right.
whatever,
Because those deserve its own episode.
Batman '89, that type
Yeah.
of thing.
I try not to do those ones where they kind of deserve their own episode. I mean, all of these can deserve their own episode, of course, but things like Karate Kid, I think you were right with the last one that like when I did Gremlins, like
Yeah.
that could have been its own like hour long,
Yeah, I'm gonna do
praising. Yeah.
I'm gonna do Gremlins closer to the holidays.
Yeah. But there's Karate Kid and like there's so many that deserve its own episode. But
Ghostbusters, like
and a couple of my choices for today's episode you might do your own special on too,
probably. Who knows? We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
One of these that I picked, I was gonna do like a double, sort of like a
Entendre.
double feature with it, just because of the nature of who stars in both of them.
Oh, okay.
But and I was like, ah, you know what? No, I'll do this. I'll just do this. So I picked this. So here we go. We got
I think I know what it might be. I think I know what it is. And I was gonna pick one of those, but I think I got rid of the DVD that I have of it. If it's who I think it is, so the actor that's in both of these movies. But go ahead.
yeah, and then I saw like in my previous pile I had one movie, but then I was like, ooh, this would be great to pair with this other movie to do its own video because they're too similar in tone.
Hmm.
Um, they're two sex comedies
Oh, okay.
from 1984, and then they deserve like a special video. And so I took that out, you know. Um, but like, these are gems to me. These are gems. These are, you might look at some of these films and be like, why are what? Why are you talking about that? But to
Right.
me, they matter to me.
Yeah.
And they happen to be celebrating these anniversaries. So, but you are the guest, Bobby.
Yes.
So we will have you go first with one of your 1984 picks.
Well, this is a very special year, because with we just had the release on Netflix of Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, and
Oh, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
I enjoyed it, and it was a hell. I got a little worried because I didn't enjoy Coming to America.
Yeah, part two. Yeah,
Yes.
neither did we.
No, I'm just like I chuckled a couple of times,
Yeah, it was.
but it was just kind of like, this is not everything's so forceful and everything. But I actually watched Axel F twice, and I'm telling you,
I want to watch it again.
yeah,
Yeah. Um,
it was great. They handled and like it felt. I mean, yeah, of course, the music is kind of like, all right, you're shoving this down our throats, like
yeah.
with that and shakedown and like everything. Like it's like, all right, settle down for the nostalgia, like forcing right there. But like everybody was great, and just like the first movie, they handled the action, comedy, drama, thriller, like it was balanced out, just like the first two movies, at least.
Yeah, I felt that like this is the first time in a long time that Eddie Murphy was actually playing one of his characters. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like
god, yeah,
it wasn't Eddie Murphy being Eddie Murphy. It was
right,
just,
right,
oh, this is Axel Foley. Like,
yes,
um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Kevin Bacon was
Katie and I
Kevin Bacon was
really
awesome
enjoyed
as
it.
the
We were
bad
like,
guy. Yeah, everybody was great.
okay, this is
Everybody. There was not a Paul Reiser was great. He's the captain now, and Kevin Bacon was awesome as the bad guy. He's always good at good or bad. Um, yeah, no, it was. I really enjoyed it. So I'm picking Beverly Hills Cop. I do not have the 4K. Um, I had the trilogy for a while. I think in a DVD set, and I kind of like decided I wasn't crazy about two and three or enough to own them. I
yeah,
do like two.
yeah. I like two as well, but I think one is really
Yeah, I think one actually is as close to a perfect movie. Like it's so well done. It's so great. So I'm fine with just owning the first one.
yeah.
Maybe I'll. I mean, do you have the 4K of this?
It's on my Amazon wish list.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how much better it could look because when it comes to comedies, Blu-ray is like good enough for me.
Yeah, for me though, like I think sometimes it's the price. So if I see like a 4K that's like $15,
Right.
then it's like, oh, okay, this is worth it
Yeah,
for me to get.
$5.99.
Yeah,
I'm good with this.
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
Beverly Hills Cop, man, yeah, it's great.
it is. I'm trying to remember when I first. I think I saw the movie when I first saw the movie. I think I was at my uncle and aunt's house um, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great, and it became like kind of a yearly thing I would watch. Um, I am not. I like action movies, um, but I probably like action comedies more than like just straight action movies. Like I don't like if you look at my action collection. I mean, of course, there's like Rambo movies and Schwarzenegger movies and things like that. But like I just I enjoy them. I could fully love them in the theater and everything, but it's not something I gravitate and go back to a lot. After I've seen them and enjoyed them, I mean, I love John Wick and things here and there, but yeah, Beverly Hills Cop is, probably my favorite Eddie Murphy movie.
It's so
I know you love Boomerang, so I know in
no, no,
Vampire in
no,
Brooklyn.
no, no,
So
no. So as far as this was interesting, and this sort of like is the way it goes for me as far as my ranking of Murphy is um when I saw Beverly Hills Cop, it was around the same time. It was like I was 10 years old. It was 1987.
Mhm.
And so what we would do is when we would have sleepovers, I would do themes. So we'd go to the video store and we'd pick a theme night. You know what I mean? So friends will, oh, tonight we're gonna do this. So it was three Eddie Murphy movies that
Mhm.
I picked, and it was Trading Places, Beverly
Mhm.
Hills Cop, and The Golden Child.
Okay.
Um, and I love all of them.
Yeah, I have all of those.
But my favorite is Trading Places. My favorite is Trading Places.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not like I really enjoy Trading Places, but
I love it. I think he is. I think
yeah.
he's on fire in that film. So for me, it would go Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, The Golden Child, and um, Bowfinger. And those are
Bowfinger's
my.
great. Well, I love Coming to America also.
Oh God, you're right. Coming to America. You're right.
No,
Jesus.
like I would actually take Coming to America over Trading Places. Um, but
But
Bowfinger is hilarious, and I do want to own that eventually. I've never
yeah,
owned that
Coming was.
movie.
I mean, yeah, Coming to America is fucking great.
Yeah.
All right, so that would be my five, like on the Mount Rushmore of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. And I've enjoyed a lot of, his other movies that, are just kind of never talked about. And I love that Dolomite
That
movie.
was good,
That
actually.
was really good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Um,
But I would it's funny when watching Axel F, um he doesn't do the laugh. Is like
did you see that interview though?
no, I didn't.
Okay,
What
so he talks about why he doesn't do the laugh anymore.
is it because it doesn't can he do it?
No, so he said that was his real laugh.
Oh.
That was his real laugh, and it kept getting commented on, and so he got self conscious about it,
Oh shit.
and so it stopped. He like made an effort
Does
to
he does he do it in part 2 and 3? I don't remember because it's
three. I
been
fucking like I saw in the movie theater, walked out, and said, "I'm never gonna watch that piece of shit again."
okay.
So I have not watched three ever again.
Oh, well, the
Uh,
scene with him and Serge is funny in
but
part 3.
but that might be the best. I mean, even that, I felt it went on a little too long. But um, he was firmly doing it. I mean, it's in Golden Child.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
that's 1986. Like yeah. So it was there. It's in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Okay.
But as you go along, it ain't there anymore. And he did that on purpose.
Okay.
He said stop.
I was wondering because when I was a kid up until my high school years or whatever. I used to do the laugh. I used to do Eddie Murphy's laugh all the time, and it would crack people up, and I loved doing it. But at some point, I guess after high school, I mean, it wasn't a puberty thing, but like I can't do it anymore, and I've attempted it like before I watched Axel Foley. I was like, oh my god, my voice has changed so much
Well, now you
that like
sound like Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds.
no, and I used to do his laugh too, and it's like kind of in the same vein there, and I can't do either of those laughs anymore. Um, and That's funny. I was gonna pick Revenge of the Nerds because I
That
just
for
watched
me
it
is
recently. Needs its own episode.
that's going on. Yeah.
But yeah, Lewis's laugh from Revenge of the Nerds, Beverly Hills Cop, like Eddie Murphy. I can't do the laugh anymore. It's like there's something in my throat that's preventing that sound. So it's weird. Maybe second puberty when I was an adult. But so
That's a
that's
great pick. That is a great pick.
Beverly Hills Cop, baby.
40 years old. My God. Um,
Yep.
all right. So my first 84 pick is an odd one
Oh,
for probably most people, and I would
other
be
than Top Secret.
I I mean that's not odd for me, but for people I could see. This is another one where I think who knows how many people have seen this movie. But it speaks to me, and it's just quirky and weird enough to have me really, really dig it. And that is
Oh, yes.
Streets of Fire.
This time it's for real. So,
Um,
uh, yes.
this is the great Walter Hill's. I don't even know how to describe this movie.
It takes place in another time, another
It
place.
it really does.
It's
It's
kind
like
of like I don't know. I have no idea if you're a fan of the Warriors, but it's very.
not really.
But it's like in that kind of vein, like where it's
This
kind of in the real world, but it's not.
it's like
It's its own it's its own like comic book type.
yeah, it very much is like this fantastical modern noir vintage rock opera
Rockabilly.
rock opera action movie.
Yeah.
Like it's such a cool odd mix of yeah, it's like a rock opera action comic book film with
Oh, okay.
some really
I put it
intense.
in my fantasy section. I was looking for it. I'm like, where the hell did I put this movie? It's in like fantasy because it is like a fantasy. It's a rock and roll fable.
Yes, yes, as they will tell you. Great performances, some pretty intensely goofy performances.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Look at Willem Dafoe, one of his first big screen. I mean,
Wearing like fireman waiter outfit, like it's like what the hell is he wearing
yeah,
with
that's
nothing underneath it?
greasers and motorcycle gangs and tough guys and
You want to go
music.
for a tumble?
I mean, it's friggin' Rick Moranis. Like,
Ah,
I mean, probably
it's the shits. I like that line he always says. It's the shits.
yeah. Great music, like great music.
Bobby Fish, that's
A
his
lot,
name.
a
Or
lot of
Billy Fish. Billy
a
Fish.
lot of the people behind, Meatloaf's music.
Yes, these like
Um,
these epic operatic um what do you call those?
yeah, I mean, they're yeah, they're rock operas, man.
The rock operas, yeah,
Yeah,
kind of.
it's
Yeah.
fucking It's crazy, but it's a such a cool and unique movie, and really dig it.
I
Um,
mean, like, did you always like this movie, or you like seen it as a kid, kind of forgot about it, and like
no, so
come
Streets of
back to it?
Fire was definitely like that's in my 20s. That's,
Okay,
going towards my 30s. It was like one of those like I it was I love finding because like you, I consider myself pretty, learned in the ways of 80s culture and 80s pop culture and 80s
right.
cinema and pop, all that stuff. So I like finding things like this that
Mhm.
sort of blow me away and I wish I had seen back then, but like am so thankful that I found, because it was like, oh, this is a new 80s something that I'm like obsessing over. like,
Right, right.
like one of those lost gems that it's like, holy shit, like this is incredible and I'm so glad I'm seeing it, like um so
Yeah.
that's Streets of Fire for me.
Um, yeah, and folks, a lot of the songs that are, well, maybe not. You know one song on this soundtrack if you listen to any kind of like 80s radio, or I Can Dream About You
Yeah.
is was a massive hit. It still gets played on the radio all the time. It came from this movie. Um,
I remember growing up, I thought that was Hall and Oates.
oh,
I
okay.
really did. And then so I'm watching the movie, I'm like, "Wait a second, this ain't Hall and Oates." And if I really listen to it, I'm like, "Okay, this doesn't really sound like Hall and Oates," but it had that feel, that sort of
Yeah, that soulful rock music.
soul
Yeah, yeah,
rock, yacht rock type
yeah, yeah.
feel, and I was like, "Okay, okay, cool, cool." Um,
My experience with Streets of Fire was I was probably 9 or 10. I was at a cousin's house, and it was just on. And I clearly remember watching, and it was kind of weird because their living room didn't really have a TV in it, but I guess the parents put a TV on like a metal stand that had wheels on it, and just so they could, like, all right, we're using the den where the TV is. You kids go in this other room, which is the front of the house living room area that never had a TV, but it was like stuck this TV on a cart and with the VCR, and like just, and I think it might have been on HBO, but we were watching Streets of Fire, and I was 9 or 10, and I was like, I don't think it was from the beginning of the movie, but I enjoyed it so much that when my mom and I would go take out videos out of the library, I took out Streets of Fire and watched the whole thing, and I really liked it. And then I don't think I thought about that movie at all for over 20 years. Like, I did not think about it at all until uh I guess into my late 30s, you know? And then I was in you remember the apartment I lived in that was downstairs?
yep.
So I watched it on, I don't know, again, HBO or Cinemax or something, whatever cable channels it came on. And I was like, oh my God, I remember this movie. And I watched the first half hour, I paused it, I went over to the computer and bought the movie on Amazon. I'm like, half hour into it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so, like, the memories were flooding back. I remember how much I enjoyed this movie. And it would, now that as an adult seeing it for the first time, or not even thinking about it, for the first time, like, I was enjoying the hell out of it. I went on Amazon, I bought the movie, the Blu-ray, and bought the soundtrack as well, the CD, and then continued watching the movie because I know I'm going to enjoy it to the end. And then I showed a few friends, Kenny and a couple of other people. So, but yeah, I love it. It's a fun time.
It is great.
Yeah.
And folks, you LBP fans, if you've seen the original trailer to Phantom of the Grindhouse,
Grindhouse.
it was cut to Nowhere Fast, which is in Streets of Fire.
Right.
um, and we did our own little like trailer slash music video of the song
Hmm.
for Phantom of the Grindhouse. You can still find it online if you just type in Vimeo. It's on the original trailer was on Vimeo, but the song is great. That song
Oh
is
yeah, it's the best song.
yeah.
And I do love um
And this is where Eddie
Night
Wilson.
Where is what it means to be young. Also, that's epic. Yeah, no, great pick. I love it. Um, let's continue with 1984.
Yeah,
Okay, I know you want to do this as your own as an own episode, but got the beta max of
yeah, it's getting its own episode. Yeah,
Friday 13th, the final chapter. My favorite Friday the 13th movie.
me too.
For a long time after Part 6 was released, that was my favorite Friday the 13th movie. I would say all through my uh, teenage years. And then at some point in my 20s, I said, you know what? I mean, it's neck and neck with Final Chapter, but I think Final Chapter takes the cake. When I was a kid, I was already getting, becoming attracted to the horror film genre. Um, I had seen part 2 on TV. I had seen, I don't think all of part 3 at a friend's house or cousin's house. And I had already seen Halloween. That was like, I'd seen that before, like Friday the 13th movies. And I was already like, I was 8 or 9. I was already starting to like 7 or 8, really. Uh, Getting really interested in it and loving it. And then one day, one night, I guess my parents would allow the teenagers that lived across the street to come over and watch movies because I have no idea if my parents were like the cool parents on the block or anything, but they let the teenagers, maybe they couldn't watch this movie at their house. So they came over, popped in a VCR, and watched it. My dad was outside doing something. I don't even know if my mom was around, but they're watching it. And I came and I sat with them, and I'm 9 years old, and I'm watching this with them. And I was like, and they're making jokes, they're laughing at things, and we're watching the movie, and I am like loving this movie. Um, but then I have a vague memory of like my dad telling me like, you can't watch that. He must have walked in when there was like nudity or something. And he says, no, go to your room and play. But then I would like keep trying to sneak out to like see what happens. And this was definitely like 1985. Um, because I remember one of those teenagers saying like, after the movie ended, they're like, "Oh, it's not the end. It's not the end. I just saw the trailer. I just saw a preview of like, you know, they're making part 5 and it's coming out soon." But I have this memory of him saying like in the trailer, you see Tommy and he's sitting on a fence and he's laughing like crazy, and I'm like, and that always stuck with me because that's not what happens in any kind of trailer.
Yeah,
But he might have been. I think he's talking about like in the trailer for part 5, you might see a shot of Tommy in the hospital bed, like laughing like a maniac or something. Like at the end of the movie. I'm like, he must have gotten it confused, or you know, sometimes people just see whatever they want to see.
yeah. Or he didn't see it at all and Just
Oh, and then just was just making up something. Yeah. But part 5 was definitely going to be coming out. So right after that, I was sold. I love this series. I need to go back and watch the other Friday 13th movies that had come out. So I went to the library where mom and I took out movies, took out the other movies. I think I recorded 2, and 3 when they came on TV. So I had them on a VHS or whatever, and I'd watch them all the time. And then forget it, I was hooked. Jason was my favorite. Friday 13th was my favorite horror franchise, and the rest is history. But I love it. I love all the characters. Ted and Jimbo, can't say enough about, them making up the dialogue of dead fuck and all that stuff is, you know,
yeah, I'm saving everything for my video. I don't want
save it all up.
to so you can say whatever you want about this movie.
Okay. Tom Savini
Just
effects.
just that I adore it. That's what I'll say. I adore the film.
That's it. Tom Savini's effects are great. Um, everything's great about it. I just love it. If people have never seen a Friday 13th movie before, but they kind of know the basic premise. They know who Jason is. They know what Crystal Lake is. They know he drowned and he came back and he's killing people, killing teenagers or adults around the area. I just show them this movie because it gives you the recap in the beginning.
So there's
like, all right, moving on.
there's these two girls, well, women, online. I can't remember what the channel is. It's not a channel that they have. They just do watch-alongs and commentaries and stuff
Mm-hmm.
on the channel. It's somebody else's channel, but they have been tasked with watching famous horror films and horror series from the 80s and 90s.
Right.
And so they've been watching what we all love, right? Like they did the Nightmare films, they did the Chucky films. It's funny, they're in their like 30s, they're early 30s, so they're,
Yeah.
millennials
The millennials. Yeah.
who have never seen this stuff before.
Right.
And so they're up to part 4 on Friday the 13th, and I watch all the horror ones that I care about just to get their I want to see what these people think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just did part 4, and they said this was their favorite of the Friday the 13th films so far. Like they were
Yeah.
like,
Oh
this was
no.
really
Yeah.
good. Like,
I think most people that watch the movies, you get to part 4, and there's a quality to it that is just better than the other ones.
yeah. Again, I don't want to get too into
No,
it.
yeah,
Why I love it, but one of the reasons why I think it's head and shoulders above the others is because of that cast. The people,
yeah. Oh yeah, the cast makes it
the
so much better.
characters for almost the first time outside of a few from the other 3. I really like this group of people.
Yeah, everybody's solid in it. Even like the ones that kind of you don't think about. They're just kind of just there, like, but they're not bad or anything. They're just there, but they're still doing their job. The guys like Paul that gets harpooned. It's like, who cares about that dude? But
Yeah,
like, but he's not a weak link or anything. He's just kind of just one of the other friends that are there, and he doesn't. Everybody's good in it, so yeah, no, it's great.
great pick.
Yep, of course it is. Come on,
40 years.
40 years, and I always love the back pictures of just Tommy with the alien mask. You're like, you pick up this at the video store, and you're like, why'd they choose that photo?
Yeah.
You know. I guess they didn't want to show you anything. But
All right.
yeah,
So my pick is another. Now, people might have this sort of on their. This might be on people's lists. Maybe not. Maybe you haven't seen it before.
I gotta pee. So, but continue talking, and
Okay.
I'll come
I
into it.
definitely know it's on Bobby's list of awesome movies. Um, Celebrating 40 years. This is The Last Starfighter. Um, this is
Greetings, Starfighter.
um, this is a great sci-fi action adventure film. Um, you know, you've got Lance Guest as Alec Rogan, who is a video game freak. Got Catherine Mary Stewart. You've got Nick Castle as director. Um,
Woo!
yes, yes.
You have the
So
4K.
I did not get the 4K. I'm good. I'm good with it.
I'm fine with this too,
I really like how this looks. So I was.
unless Catherine wants to give me you know, a free copy of whatever she.
Um, but yeah, to me, the Last Starfighter fits right in with those amazing adventure kids films of the 80s. For
Yeah.
me,
Yes.
it goes alongside Goonies, it goes alongside Explorers, it goes alongside um Never Ending Story, like that type of
Mhm.
like
Cool.
it's
Never Any Story. Another 1984
yeah.
beautiful film. Own episode. Own episode.
uh, but and to me, it's one of those movies that is also just soaked in the time period. Um, and so watching it is a real it's just a nostalgia kick on all fronts for me. Um, you know, even then, I think as a kid, the special effects weren't really the best.
Oop, there we go.
Yeah, wonderful.
For video stores.
Um, but it didn't matter. Everything else was awesome. As a cabinet gamer, I was very much, in love with that idea of being picked to join the armada. you know,
You have been
um,
chosen.
uh, because I was a big. I mean, Miss Pac-Man was my jam. Um,
Mm.
and so as a kid, yeah, that idea of being taken and to go fight in the skies,
Yeah,
in the
that's
stars.
that is the fantasy. That is the dream. That yeah, absolutely. I think any one of us that were 8, 9, 10 years old would watch this movie at that time and
Yeah,
just
so
feel that.
this was probably um yeah, 8 or 9, 85, 86 for me. This
Mhm.
was on HBO all the time.
When I would go
Uh,
to cousins' houses, because I didn't have HBO, but when I would go to cousins or friends' houses, it would be playing.
so I, you know, and they played it. HBO would play these movies like over and over and over again. Like you'd watch it and it would be like, "Oh, it's going to be on at 3:45 in the afternoon, but then it's going to be on at 10:45 at night," like
Right,
or 1:45 in the morning, that type of thing. Like
right.
they did it all the time and so I saw it a lot. Um and I just yeah, to me it's right in there with the classics. To me, it's a classic. It's a classic '80s action adventure film.
Yeah.
Everybody's awesome in it. There's great practical and prosthetics, great effects like that. Not the visual effects, but there's great effects in that way.
Yeah.
And I absolutely have always loved the score. The s-
Oh,
the
great score.
score to me still to this day can give me like nostalgic goosebumps,
Hmm.
especially the theme, the main theme.
Yeah.
Um, the last time I watched this, because I showed Katie and she had never seen it, and the last time I watched it, I was like tearing up throughout the movie because I'm just like, it's bringing me back to those first times seeing it. It's bringing me back to
Yeah.
being affected by the film like that, and yeah, I really love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. No, I always loved it too. Again, I think it was one of those movies where I seen it a lot as a kid. I loved it, but I think there was like a number of years when I just didn't think about it. Like it just never, because I was just taking everything that was thrown at me in the 90s and 2000s or whatever, and then like I guess in the early 2000s, which again in my 20s, just like Streets of Fire, I would kind of like rediscover it and go, well, Streets of Fire was my 30s, but like in my 20s, I rediscovered Last Starfighter when DVDs were coming out, and I got that first Universal
Yeah,
release of it.
me too.
Um, yeah, and again, it was all coming back to me as I'm watching the movie, as I'm enjoying it, the music, the characters, the whole. I almost forgot about the beta unit of Lance Guest. That I was
Great.
like, oh my god, like it hit me as soon as they showed it. I was like, oh my god, that's right. There's like a robot version of him, like
Yeah,
that, like pretending to be him while he's off doing this. And that like kind of that was the first moment of like that really like excited me because it was such a memory for me watching it. Um, yeah, no, it's great. And I wanted for the longest time, Kathy, who plays Maggie in the movie. Um, for those
I
of
love
you,
you, Alex Rogan.
I love you, Alex Rogan.
Great
Uh,
scene.
yeah, it is great. The lights and everything, and
Yeah,
hair
man. The
blowing
push in.
around.
Yeah.
Yes, the push in. I tried to do that same push in my trailer just recently, yeah. But she wouldn't say that line. Huh. Um, but so she has a starfighter jersey that she
Mm.
wears with the Armada symbol on it, and on the back it says, uh, I think it says Maggie 84 on it or something like that. Um, so I asked her, like, I want that jersey. Like, I want one for me that says like bobbers on it with 84 on it or something. I'm like, I never worn a jersey before in my life, but that's cool. Um, so I contacted the company that does those jerseys. And if you type in horror jerseys and stuff like that, you've seen them around.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won't like reprint that. So I'm like, screw you. But yeah, and I love Last Starfighter. It's it's great. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And Maggie might be helping co-direct my next film. So we shall see. We still have to have like a talk about it. So like a real talk about it, where it's like, you sure you want to do this, or is this going to be weird for your resume? Kind of talk. Um, but yeah, great pick. Deserves its own episode.
Well, so I was gonna do that with Night of the Comet.
Oh, that's the one you were gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had a different actor in mind
Yeah, I was gonna
that
do
you were going to do.
two, you know, two Catherine Marys.
Yeah, and I love both of those movies pretty equally. Um,
It's awesome.
yeah, they're all fun.
Anyway, let's
Yeah.
get on to 89. Come on, let's
Well, I wanted to do that, but first I wanted to mention who I thought you were talking about. I thought you were going to do the double 1984 feature of Tom Hanks movies, which was Bachelor Party and Splash for some reason.
so
Because
one
I
of
almost did Splash, but I
you
don't
could have
know.
done Splash. I'm not a huge fan of Splash. I never have.
Oh, I love Splash.
But
It's
Bachelor
charming as hell.
Party,
Yes.
that's coming. That's gonna get a that's doing a double feature. That's the sex comedy ones that I'm gonna talk about.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
for me, everyone who knows me knows the Bachelor Party is top, top. So that is getting its own.
And again, I love both Bachelor Party and Splash. I love equally, but for different reasons. So,
All right. So your first 1989, 35-year.
1989. Okay, we are going with the Dream a Little Dream, the movie that took down the two Corys. Well,
I
at least
also love that film.
theatrical movies. So my mom and I went to the theater to see this movie, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was bizarre, but I also remember thinking, what a bizarre choice for these Corys to make after like such hits as Lost Boys and License to Drive.
Yeah.
Because it is not a mainstream kind of movie. It's very weird and independent and music driven, and it's like a music video. It's like the whole movie's like a music video. And it's not a, because at the time they were doing a lot of like body switching movies, like Father Like Son, vice versa.
Oh yeah.
There was a bunch of them in the late 80s, particularly 88, 89. There was a bunch of them. And there was like direct to video ones too, or whatever. But this was a weird one because you dealt with dream worlds, and they're not fully body switching because the spirits of the people that Corey Feldman is switch with are in his dreams, and it's so bizarre. It's really a bizarre movie. Some of it's like when you watch it now is a little uneven, but like I don't care. It's so enjoyable. I know you'll agree with me that one of the best characters ever is Joel. Like you can't tell if he's their friend or a bully. Or,
I mean,
he's so weird.
He's a putz. I don't like him in the film.
No, he's weird.
But
I don't even know if he knows what he's doing in that movie.
Yeah, he is an odd character. Yeah, that movie is. I remember somebody asking me like, why the hell do I don't know if it was why do I like or why do I own Dream a Little Dream? You know what I mean?
Right.
And to me, I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, it's a great movie. Like
Yes.
I can see objectively why some people would be put off by the film. But again, for me, I just thought it was no. This is a classic two Corey's film from
Right.
fucking, like it makes sense to me. But again, I really like shit like that. I like the bizarre and the eccentric and the quirky.
I mean, it's definitely bizarre. It like
and,
it. it kind of plays off like, a half drama. Well, let's say, I mean, it's a mix. It's just a mix of fantasy, drama, comedy,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, it's weird.
It's
It's
a love
and a music
story.
video and a music book. Yeah, yeah, romantic, drama. Like, what the hell is this thing? And why would they like think that? I mean, they had the two Corys, so they assumed like it was going to be another hit, like License to Drive. But you know, it was so. What's my cat doing? Can you stop? Oh, ow, fucking got me. Slash. Um, but Mare of the Salinger.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She was a crush for sure.
Don't we all wish we had someone like Meredith Salinger? Um, yeah, just it's a bizarre movie, but I really enjoy it. Um, I like the music. It's one of my favorite soundtracks. I love the Dream a Little Dream soundtrack. I mean, I listened to it on cassette when I was, a kid in my teenage years, like over and over again. I have the CD. It's one of my favorite soundtracks, my top 10 soundtracks of all time. Yeah, I love it. And funny thing, it wasn't written into the script that Corey Haim's character Dinger had a broken leg.
Yeah.
His mom actually ran over his leg with the car or something, and they just wrote that into the story that he has a cane, and because his leg was actually broken, which was kind of cool. And it was cool because of just as a character thing that he's limping around everywhere. Yeah, and it marks kind of the downfall of like when they were starting to get into drugs and making bad choices, and Feldman doing his Michael Jackson
Yeah, I mean, it was,
moves, and him
really,
trying to start a music career at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a historical moment in the lives of them. But supporting cast, like all the older people in it. Harry Dean Stanton is awesome. Jason Robards, Piper Laurie. I like all of them. I don't think they enjoyed being in that movie because I talked to Piper Laurie once about it, and I had her sign my DVD, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't really have fond memories of this." It's like I know it was more about the younger kids and stuff like that, but like we were just kind of like paid to be there, and basically they called it in, but they were great. But they're old pros. They've been acting since for 60 years before that. So, yeah, I still get the nostalgic feels every time I pop it on. It's a weird one. It's no Dream a Little Dream 2, but it's
Yeah. So one of my first 1989 pick is also a weird one. This is a very underrated film. Really weird, really goofy, bizarre. Who knows who's seen it, but I know I did.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. No,
that needs its own thing.
Yeah, I know.
But this is Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yes.
So
I love history with Earth Girls Are Easy.
I loved this film. I loved it. So this was one of those films that I rented and I duped immediately. So I had my own VHS copy because we had two VCRs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always duping shit. Um, and not only that, but I had the cassette soundtrack to this film, and I would play it. So I had a um, paper route. I had a paper route. I was the paper boy.
Hmm.
Um, and for a good week and a half, maybe 2 weeks of the route, this cassette was in my Walkman, like when I was on my route on my bike. And I was just rocking out to this soundtrack. But yeah, man, it's so weird.
was
It's
the was the Julie Brown song that was cut out of the movie, is was that on the soundtrack too?
I can't
Wasn't
remember.
there one about like where she's singing in like a bar? Like there's a deleted scene, I think, on the.
I don't think it's on the soundtrack.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what the song was, but it was
Um,
kind of funny.
but yeah, so Julie Brown co-wrote the film,
Hmm.
put the movie together. Not Downtown Julie Brown. This is Redhead Julie Brown. This is the Julie Brown that I liked. Um,
Right.
Just Say Julie. She had a show on MTV for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Late '80s. She was very funny, very busty, very
Bubbly.
goofy.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and she was really fun. And so she's co-starring in this film. She co-wrote it. Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans.
Hmm.
Goldblum, Carrey, and Wayans are aliens, fuzzy aliens, and they like crash land in Gina Davis's pool. Um, Gina Davis is going through a terrible relationship with Charles Rocket, um, who's an asshole in this movie, um, and then ends up falling in love with Jeff Goldblum. Obviously, they were
Naturally so.
yeah, they were together. You know, they had been together since The Fly. Um, but it's such a weird, quirky comedy movie, and this also is one of those like it kind of is a musical as well. There's like there's musical numbers and or music videos in the film.
Right. It's
Um,
you wouldn't think of musical at all while
it's
watching the movie. It is weird when like a movie that you don't think of as a musical has musical sequences. Like I one of my favorite movies is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but I don't think of it as a musical. But there's like five or seven songs in it that
yeah.
just like happen. And but I'm like, I still don't think of it as a musical at all. I just think of it as what it is. But
Um, but yeah. So and then like so I have loved the movie when the soundtrack came out on CD. I got the CD. Um, I used to have the when it hit video. I used to have the video poster. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really dig the movie. And then probably about geez, I want to say maybe 13 years ago, maybe
mhm.
Alec gave me a birthday present, and the present was a vintage Earth Girls Are Easy T-shirt
Oh my
from
god.
1989.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. It wasn't
uh,
like was it how worn was it?
I mean it was pretty worn, and I did wear it. I did wear it. It was a white. It was white, and you could kind of see some browning around the collar,
Right.
but I would assume he got it from like a shop in like New York City because he lives down there. But I was like, well, this is pretty dope. I wish I still had it because it got ruined. It ended up getting ruined. But um, yeah, I dig it. I dig it. It's a fucking weird one, guys. And so when this was announced for Blu-ray, I was shocked and elated. I was just so excited that this thing was coming to widescreen and have all those special features. I
Oh
was
my
just
god,
like,
the features are fantastic.
yeah,
Again, like I mean, I am a Vestron Video collector series like connoisseur. Um, all their features on all their discs have been like top notch, fantastic. Like they're just so good. The Earth Girls are easy, or they're really really good. All the behind the scenes stuff is awesome to see
yeah.
because I don't think I ever seen any of that stuff in the past.
So I remember when the movie was coming out, MTV they did because of Julie Brown's association. They did like one of those MTV specials
Hmm.
that they would do back then for movies, and they did. And I remember that. I actually had that taped on VHS, um, which was cool. I liked when they did that shit.
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
they
Over
did
the
it a
road.
lot with the Nightmare on Elm Street series and Robert Englund. They did that.
They apparently did it with Weekend at Bernie's.
I don't
Um,
remember that, but
I don't remember it either, but Catherine gave me like VHSs to transfer to DVD,
yeah.
and there was an MTV special with her and Jonathan Silverman sitting at a pool, with like a dead Bernie
Oh,
floating
that's
around in
awesome.
the pool, and like they were like, "Oh, check out this next video by whoever."
Yeah, I loved when they did that shit.
Yeah, it was great. I'm like, I still have all of her VHSs, so I want to like, well, one day I got to get a VCR DVD recorder that works again, and then transfer all that stuff just for myself to have, at least the stuff that I liked that she, gave me. Oh yeah.
Um, so
My 1989.
what's your last 1989 pick?
My last 1989 movie is actually a movie I don't have or
Okay,
own.
that's fine.
But it's my mom has it, and we watched it a few months ago, and I forgot. I know I always liked the movie, but watching it now, I really love the movie, um, which is Parenthood,
Mm.
the Steve Martin movie from 1989. Uh, it really is an amazing cast. Amazing. It's a great, great movie. It's funny. It's touching. Gives you the feels, and it's extremely relatable for people that have families, I guess, because they hit on like every kind of person like that's part of a family unit. Where like you have like the loser uncle that is always trying to like get rich quick schemes, and Jason Robards again. It's not the Jason Robards movie. He's the father in it, and he's great. And I mean, I don't have children, but I imagine parents can super relate to situations that are in the movie. Rick Moranis is in it. He's awesome as always. Everybody's great in it. Keanu Reeves is in it. Like
Yeah,
um, Martha Plimpton is his girlfriend. Diane Wiest. Diane Wiest to me is like the mom of the '80s movies. Like she just like Lost Boys and other movies.
no,
Like
you're out of
she,
your mind. Dee
what?
Wallace Stone is the mom of the '80s, my
Well,
friend.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I'll give Diane Weiss second place.
Okay,
Um, but D Wallace is number one. You're absolutely right. But Diane Weiss is awesome in it as Steve Martin's sister that's trying to like raise her cat that's just kind of her cat. What the fuck am I talking about? Her kid that's just like aloof and won't talk to her, which is a young Joaquin Phoenix, known as Leif back then.
yeah, yeah.
But he's like coming in the house with like porn tapes and like and the kids' interaction with Keanu Reeves is hilarious. Keanu is just basically being Ted in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but there's just really just sweet moments and fun moments and hilarious moments, and it's just a really well done, great movie. And I don't even know if it's on Blu-ray, but I will eventually pick it up when I if I see it.
I have not seen Parenthood probably since the 90s.
Okay. Did you remember liking it at
I
all,
can't
or?
even. I barely remember it.
Well, I mean, you're a dad, so I kind of recommend just checking it out now through like adult eyes.
Fathers, check out The Mist.
Check out The Mist. Check out Empire Strikes Back. Um, but yeah, I
Okay.
really, really enjoyed it, and I mean, I can't. It doesn't like it deals with every subject you could imagine, like anxieties that children have, like competition between like family members, like, oh, like Rick Moranis is like the father that's kind of like, oh, my kid's a genius, and he's like, I'm teaching him like calculus at 3 years old or something, and it's like let the kid, and the wife's like, let the kid be a kid, what the hell you doing? And and it just deals with a lot, and it's good. um Steve Martin is just Steve Martin in it. He's always great.
It does have a Blu-ray.
It does.
Yeah, for $12.94.
Well, looks like I'll be picking that up. Um, yeah, I'll get that. But
Okay.
that's my 1989 pick. Again, I always want to pick something, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade or Back to the Future 2 or something, but it's like those are its own episodes, as
Yeah,
Chris
they.
might say,
Yeah.
But I do want to give two like honorable mentions, because Chris probably doesn't like these movies, but they're my favorite of its type of movie. So, When Harry Met Sally, my favorite romantic comedy. Look at that face! Look at that face he's making. It is my favorite romantic comedy. For me, it is you know, it's the best of those. And my favorite war movie, Glory. I do love this movie. I'm not big on war movies because they're kind of sad, and but I love the acting in it. Broderick, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, all amazing. Uh, love it. So, favorite war movie, favorite romantic comedy. Just throwing those out there. 1989.
All right. So my last pick for this episode of 1989.
Yes, because there's going to be a volume 3, isn't there?
There has to. I mean, there's so many movies.
Let's do a trilogy. We'll do a trilogy. I have to do trilogies.
Um, Again, another underrated film, but for me, I really enjoy it. And this was sort of um, a way for Robert Englund to break out of the Freddy thing, which was
Oh! I know. Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Right? Is that? Oh, I was a little off. Okay.
Phantom of the Opera.
Side note: do you know Robert Englund's in Bud 2? Bud 2, Chud 2, Bud the Chud.
Nah, I'm not a big Chud guy.
All right. Well, honestly, you should watch Chud 2, because there's a Halloween. It takes place at Halloween time, so there's a
Oh, I've
scene.
seen Chud too.
But there's a scene where like there's just trick or treaters running up and down the street, and then Robert Englund just kind of walks through their thing, like just wearing like a trench coat, and just kind of like it's Robert Englund. It's just so bizarre that he's just walking through the crowd. It's like, why is Robert Englund? He was visiting somebody on the set, and they just said, just walk by. It's funny. Anyway, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. This is a modern horror take on Phantom. It's like a it kind of mixes in the film. It mixes modern time with the past.
Hmm.
Most of the movie takes place in the past, um, and then you sort of you s- you see that the Phantom has survived. He's been there the whole time, and uh, I think it's really good. I just think it's really good. It's directed by Dwight Little of my
Halloween
second
4.
favorite Halloween film, Halloween 4.
Hmm.
Um, Jill Schultz. I'm not a big fan of Popcorn. I don't think Popcorn is good, the movie.
Hmm.
Um, but Jill is good, and she's Christine in this. Um, Robert, of course, is killing it. Great performance, great prosthetics. Again, Kevin Yeager
Hmm.
doing the makeup effects and the gore in the film. Um, yeah, it works for me. I really dig it. I think it's a cool, you know, 80s modern take on uh, Phantom of the Opera. I keep wanting to say Phantom of the Grindhouse, but
Phantom of the Grindhouse.
um,
Phantom of the Mall. Eric's Revenge.
but
Um,
yeah, it works for me, and it's a great Blu-ray. There's
I want to check it out again because it's been years since I've seen it, and I remember thinking it was okay when I seen it. But I
I
would
dig
like
it, but I also dig the Phantom of the Opera story.
Oh, I love the
Uh,
story. And my favorite family opera movie is the Hammer one. I love the look of the Phantom and the story. And um, are you excited that they're putting opera out on
oh yeah,
4K?
4K. Yeah, the pre-orders just went up.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's right. I gotta pre-order
It's
that.
a lot of money.
How
You
much
know,
is it?
it's
Is it
Severin, so they can't
60?
yeah, it's 60, but it's cut down from, like, 75.
Okay,
It's
because
their
of the
sale, their summer sale that's just this weekend, um, and so the
okay.
pre-order went up 75 slash to 60.
Oh wait, I think it starts at like 12:01 tonight or something like that.
It was yesterday. Yeah,
Ah,
it was
shit. Okay.
yes, Friday yes, today.
I better
There's
get on
there's
that before it
there's
closes.
sets that are already sold out. Um,
They already said it sold out?
no, there's sets that they, like, have up there that are already sold
Oh, yeah, okay.
out.
Well,
I don't know if I'm gonna do it just because
it's so much.
I don't need all that stuff that they pack with it.
Right.
And normally what these companies do is that they'll put out these fucking giant sets and then a year down the road they'll put the single edition. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So and I love that movie. I love opera. That's my favorite Argento film. And
Mhm.
um but $60 and a set with a bunch of shit that I just don't give a shit about. I don't know.
Yeah. When we sign off, I'm gonna, like, look it up and try to grab it.
Um, but yeah, Phantom of the Opera, 1989.
Yeah, I need to take another look at that.
It's good. I think it's really
It's been a
underrated.
really long time.
I don't know. I enjoy it.
I'm trying to think if there's other versions of Family Opera that I like. I never liked the Universal one.
Me either.
It's it's a chore to get through, and it's just I don't know. Isn't it the only color movie in that set too? Like it's so weird. Um, but yeah, it's probably my least favorite of those Universal monsters movies. Um, I mean, they make a family opera movie every decade, sometimes more than once. But the Hammer one is my favorite. Um, and yeah, no, I'll check it out. So is that it? Does that conclude our 1984-89 episode? We did 8 movies.
That's right.
Wow.
There we go.
And only 84 left to go.
That's right.
We'll name them all in the next episode. Still plenty more. 84 is my favorite year of movies. There's so many.
84 and 85 are my favorite years. Yeah.
Definitely. 89, there's not as much for me. But there are some killer ones in there. So, yeah. That'd be it.
All right, guys. Well, let us know your thoughts. I'm sure this was quite
I'm sorry I didn't mention the Care Bears movie.
a mixed bag for some of you. Or some of you might be like, hey, man, I feel you on these, which would be great. Again, we're just plucking movies that we like from the greatest decade of all time, celebrating 40 and 35 year anniversaries. So there you go. This was part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. A nice chunky video for you guys to listen to while you're doing other things.
Is there any weird, like, how I threw those like 2 honorable mentions because it's like, my favorite of those genres came out that year. Is there anything like that with you? Like, just kind of like, hey, here's another weird thing that I might not talk about another time, but I really dig this movie.
I'd have to look, but I mean, for the most part, everything that's in my collection is something that I love, and if I love it, I probably own it.
Right.
So I don't know. There might be a movie from like both dates that I'm like, it doesn't deserve to be talked about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have to like sit there and look at the collection and
yeah, that's why I threw in those 2. I'm like, well, I'm never going to talk about Glory ever. Like, so
I don't know. I don't know. There might be some like shitty action movie that I particularly like, but
right.
It doesn't
that came
need
out like 89, like a
we don't need to talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, what's that guy? Andy, what's his name?
Andy Sedaris.
Sedaris. Yeah, like something that he made.
I like a lot of those movies.
Yeah, I know you do. They are entertaining.
Yeah. But so that's it, guys. Expect
the worst.
expect episodes that are, spotlighting movies that deserve like their own episodes, and then expect another chapter in this 84-89 extravaganza before the year is out, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's movies that I could talk about, but I'm waiting for the holidays. I'm waiting for them to get a little closer to, be it Halloween or Christmas, that can be on this 84-89 list. So
yeah, I know one off the bat. Yeah, there's a couple of Christmas movies from 89 and 84. Right.
But that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Bobby, for joining me, and thank all you guys for watching. And we'll see you on another erotically charged yet action-packed episode of It Crypt from the 80s.
I ain't no falling for no banana in my tailpipe.